At News Channel 3, On Your Side is our personal promise of service to you. We listen to your concerns and respond to them. We don't accept stories at face value. We use our power to ask questions you want answers to. We serve as advocates for the people of Memphis by seeking fair treatment, balance, and responsibility in our stories and in our community. By fulfilling our promise, we help make Memphis a better place to live. News Channel 3, On Your Side.
When it was on the news that night, you know, and they say it's an address on Kimball, you immediately start thinking about, do I know that address? Who was it? You know, you try to remember which case that was.
Billy Bond runs the Attorney General's Domestic Violence Unit. He handles hundreds of cases a month, but right away he remembered James Christopher Hudson.
He had a series of events involving Jennifer Braddock that range from aggravated criminal trespass and vandalism, a violation of order protection, and there was an assault case.
Bond says Hudson's case file shows he didn't fear orders of protection, and there's a good reason for that.
The most time that you're looking at is 10 days.
My heart just really went out to the mother of Jennifer Braddock.
News Channel 3 went to State Representative Catherine Bowers for help. She promised to take action, and now she has.
We had to fix that, so that's what we're in the process of doing, is changing that legislation, changing the laws on the books so we can tighten it up a little bit tighter so that when people do go and get a protective order, that protective order has some meaning.
Behind this door, for the first time, brothers Samuel and David Edwards are home alone. In a moment, a stranger will try to invade their home. The stranger is the nation's go-to guy for child safety, former cop Bob Stuber. The boys' parents, Daryl and Lori, think they know what's going to happen.
What do you think is going to happen?
I think you're going to end up standing out at the door trying to get in.
With a toy badge we bought at a dollar store, Bob makes his way to the back door, while Daryl and Lori watch undercover.
Officer Stuber with the police department. Your mother saw an accident. We need to get some information from her. You have a pencil? I need a pencil so I can write down a special phone number I want her to call.
And with that, stranger Bob Stuber walks right in.
He's in?
Oh my goodness. Oh, come, they're calling. He's saying come.
As Bob walks through the house, the Edwards' oldest son, Samuel, never even bothers to turn from his cereal bowl.
Oh my God.
Oh
I
my
don't believe
goodness.
it.
Gosh.
The youngest one opened the door.
The boys still don't grasp what happened or who Bob really is.
I thought he was a police officer.
I knew I could go further because he already opened the door, and the door was locked. So he went ahead and he opened the door.
I had no idea that they would let him in so quickly. He got in less than a minute, I believe.
David and Samuel, let me show you something about letting people in your house. If you're home by yourself, even if you're home and your parents are home, it doesn't matter, and somebody comes to your door, do not open the door. You don't have to open the door, even though somebody's knocking at it. Quit talking to them, walk away, do not open that door.
The day after this storm, were you out of town in Little Rock at a political fundraising rally?
Mike, let me just say this. I'm glad you asked that. You see all these dedicated men and women. I'm the chief executive officer of the city. If I couldn't go across the river for 2.5 hours and all of these essential services wouldn't go on, I haven't done a good job as a manager, okay? So to answer your question, I've been on top of this situation 24/7 through the dedicated management staff that we have here. And so I've been here, and since you've asked me that, let me just tell you this. I've been in this job for 12 years. 12 years. Have never taken a vacation. Never been away from this job 3 consecutive days, okay? And you find another public servant in any city in America that can tell you that.
Just to follow up on that.
Yeah.
Does it send a message to the community, though, the day after the worst storm that's ever hit this city, that the chief executive officer's out of town in a political fundraising rally for a couple hours? Does it send a message, do you think?
You know what it does, Mike? it gives a guy like you and some other people that deal with small stuff something to talk about.
They are your elected officials, the men and women of government. They run for office because they want to help those who need help. They work for you, and they're supposed to help you.
This one is Senator Curtis Parson.
We asked newsroom assistant Rachel Woolridge to dip into the hat and start pulling names. Names of state senators and county commissioners, city council members.
Mrs. Barbara Swearingen Holt.
The whole idea is pretty simple, really. On a Thursday morning between 11:30 and 12 noon, Rachel started calling the people who work for us. Our calls this time were returned by office workers for Sheriff Luttrell, for Congressman Ford, for Senator Frist, for County Commission Chairwoman Marilyn Leffel, for State Senators Curtis Parson and Jim Kyle. We didn't get any calls from either Memphis Mayor Willie Harrington or Shelby County Mayor A.C. Wharton. Nothing from Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn. Not a peep from City Councilman Ed Ford or his brother Joseph on the County Commission. We couldn't get a hold of Barbara Swearingen Holt.
For 7 days, the school zone slowdown held an on-your-side stakeout until the signs went up.
We will again be out here every school morning until the sign is posted, trying to slow folks down.
The delay in posting the signs was a combination of whether or not there was a need at the school located on a busy 6-lane street and who was responsible for putting them up.
After we looked at it yesterday morning and some conversations, we decided to go ahead and install.
Much to the delight of concerned parents, the Memphis Police Department was out in full force warning drivers of the new school zone speed limit.
It's on both sides of the street and in both directions, so yes, we're happy, very happy.
My sweetheart.
A couple times a week, Carolyn Watson makes the painful trip to a Marion, Arkansas cemetery to visit her son. A trip she's been taking for nearly 8 months.
Love you, sweetie. Miss you.
Her son, Michael Simon, a father, a brother. For Carolyn Watson, he was simply her baby.
And it's like he was supposed to be going on that trip, and it seems like we're just waiting for him to come back, and he hadn't come back yet.
It's going to be a rescue call by corrections parties trapped.
Thursday, May 29th, Interstate 55.
There's a green Taurus GL. I mean, you can barely make out it's a Taurus.
Memphis police say Michael Simon died after his green Ford Taurus sideswiped a black Porsche driven by Mayor Willie Harrington's daughter-in-law, Andrea. Police say after impact, Michael's car careens into the median, then goes airborne, landing in oncoming traffic. Police say the Taurus hits a trailer and then crashes into a bronze-colored Cadillac. In the end, Michael's car is barely recognizable.
This is Interstate 55.
William Sanders is an accident reconstructionist with more than 13 years of police experience. After poring over the police evidence, almost immediately, he says,
The Porsche did not have a sideswipe damage.
That's not what Memphis police say. They believe the green Taurus driven by Michael Simon was northbound on I-55. Police say Simon changed lanes and sideswiped a black Porsche driven by the mayor's daughter-in-law, Andrea. Not the case, according to our investigator.
The damage to the vehicles don't show that.
As a matter of fact, Sanders says the Porsche crashed into the Taurus.
During the changing of lanes, the Porsche struck the Taurus in the rear.
Nearly the same scenario was described by witness Roy Cook.
All of a sudden I see a flash in my rearview mirror, causing me to look left, and at that point I see the point of impact. I could have touched it from my car window.
Cook says he saw Andrea Harrington's Porsche flying down the left lane, then crashing into Michael Simon's Taurus.
Despite the evidence,
been charged with driving on the influence.
Bam, my car was so up.
Despite the accidents,
Right front of behind, hard.
Bam.
Bam.
Tunica County's deputies and its Justice Court have a 36% DUI conviction rate between December 2002 and September of this year, the worst county in Mississippi. Part of the problem is deputies often fail to show up for trial and automatic dismissal. Mothers Against Drunk Driving says the other problem is Justice Court Judge J. Ted Emanuel.
We had a 1:30 interview scheduled and stood me up.
I don't have it.
Do you have something to hide?
Yeah.
What do you have to hide?
I got to hide this cup of coffee.
State and county records show Judge Emanuel has issued some interesting rulings from Justice Court when it comes to DUIs in Tunica County. In 1996, the state of Mississippi found a basis for disciplining Judge Emanuel. Its Commission on Judicial Performance punished Emanuel for reducing 3 citations for DUI.
The charge was reduced to a different offense, such as reckless driving, which is specifically prohibited by statute.
Emanuel received a public reprimand and a fine of more than $2,000 for violating the law.
Tonight, policy changes are in the works. An internal investigation at Memphis City Schools is underway, and the executive who placed the pricey furniture order, Dr. Annetta Rogers, finally speaks to us. At a midday meeting Wednesday, the members of the policy committee addressed some of the concerns News Channel 3 first raised almost a week ago, when we discovered Dr. Annetta Rogers ordered nearly $10,000 of furniture after she claimed hers was damaged by the big July storm. This picture is the only evidence the school district has to back that up.
Whether or not we need a new furniture or not, I don't think is the issue, but I do have concerns with the cost. I mean, $10,000 worth of furniture in anybody's office.
News Channel 3 has a copy of the purchase order for the furniture, which totals $9,723, just shy of the $10,000 which would require board approval.
I'm hoping that it's just an oversight, but it does appear to be a manipulation of the policy to get around the board knowing.
After days of requesting, Dr. Annetta Rogers finally agreed to speak to us, but after our first question,
let me make this statement, and I'm really happy to respond to the controversy surrounding the purchase of the office furniture as a result of the July 22nd storm, windstorm that is. My office was damaged.
Dr. Rogers went on to say she has not violated any policy or compromised her ethics, but when we tried to ask questions, this is the response we got. Do you have any photographs documenting that damage?
I've made my statement.
And what if I told you the furniture you used to have is actually being used by another employee in this building?
I do not know what happened to the furniture following the removal.
And you have no comment to parents and children about ordering $10,000 in furniture?
I've made my statement.
Today, the policy committee recommended a change that would require board approval of any purchase order of $5,000 or more instead of $10,000. The suggestion has to be brought to the full board. The committee is also asking for a review of the order by the audit division. Jennifer Van Vranken, News Channel 3.
For a couple of days, we tagged along with a person who administers drug tests to daycare drivers, monitors, and teachers. We tested 3 centers. At each one, someone tested positive. Tonight, we speak to a daycare van driver who has tested positive before for drugs, and she's not holding anything back.
She's worked at 3 daycare centers. Experienced she is. License, she's got that. Any day, she could have driven your kids to school. Your kids in the hands of a driver who has tested positive for cocaine.
Whether they work or not, they're gonna get high. And I have seen it, working for daycares, I have seen that a whole lot.
We're calling this woman Tammy. We agreed to conceal her identity.
Okay, you have the driver getting high, then the person on the bus with you who's supposed to be counting and writing down things, he's high.
Tammy says she's seen it all. Drivers, monitors, and even the directors getting high. High before and after picking up the kids. Since the beginning of the year, DHS has required Tennessee daycares to give drug tests to their employees, especially the van drivers.
It don't scare me because, no, I don't use drugs at all.
And Howard Green has the test to prove it. A recent test shows he's clean, but not another driver at Little Disciples Learning Center. This driver tested positive for marijuana. Tanya Anderson is the director of the center.
Immediately termination. I'm not going to take it. I can't allow for it.
DHS requires a drug test once a year and 10 days after employees start their job. But Tammy says not everyone follows the rules.
Some daycares never drug test you. Then you have some that it be 10 days. You've been worked there 2 weeks almost, driving your kids around intoxicated or under the influence of drugs.
We are here at the intersection of Highway 51 and Green Tea Road here in DeSoto County. I'm going to show you what's happening around here. No one's really talking to us so far, but take a look at this scene. You see a lot of firefighters, paramedics, folks from the Hernando Police Department. Just to give you an idea where this area is, this is the construction site of Highway 69, which is going through DeSoto County all the way up to Interstate 55. Eventually, about 2 hours ago, this part of this bridge collapsed. There was a car underneath. We're trying to figure out if there was anyone inside, but right now the scene here is a bit frantic, as you can imagine, with all these firefighters and this crane here trying to rescue or trying to pull the debris from this car. But again, we are trying to wait from a representative from the Hernando Police Department to give us more information on what happened here this afternoon.
Just minutes ago, shots rang out and police stormed the building. News Chopper 3 is still flying high above the scene tonight, as you can see the lights flashing here, and that is where our Tom Powell is reporting live now with the very latest. Tom?
Well, good evening, Pam. This is changing as we speak. As you said, just within the last half hour, we heard shots ring out, and since then we've seen 3 different individuals carried out on stretchers. When the shots rang out, we saw ambulances come up with their sirens roaring shortly after that, and as I said, people are coming in and out of the building. There are several emergency workers inside, and 3 people have been taken out and put into ambulances.
Jerry, we are here at the Parkway Village Apartments in southeast Memphis. If you're wondering why the scene is all the way out here, Memphis police has pretty much roped half of this apartment complex. They're taking this case very seriously because one of their own has been shot dead at the scene.
The house that you see behind me with the porch light on, neighbors tell us that is the one house on Kimball Street that is not a quiet house. They've often seen police called here. They've often seen a man drive by honking and harassing the folks inside. Now here's what happened tonight. Lieutenant Joe Scott with the Memphis Police Department tells us that about 6:30, Memphis police arrived here at the home and found 4 people dead inside.
Well, Amari, the very latest is it's still a very active scene. There are swarms of firefighters behind me, and they're keeping an eye on the blaze that started several hours ago here. It started inside the Gates Lumber Company.
Hi, Pam. Investigators and O.C. Smith, the city coroner, are here at the scene. I'm not sure if you could see them, but they are right there at the front door. O.C. Smith is a gentleman wearing black with light blue boots. They were getting ready to go in there. The investigator had put gloves on and even put like some sort of material on their shoes. They're getting ready to walk in there. We saw some folks bring like a light case and even some extension cords. So it looks like they're going to be in there for the long haul for the evening. We haven't heard from any spokesperson rather from the Memphis Police Department tonight, so we could confirm what's going on inside the house just across the street where Tyra Knox lived. Once again, 7-year-old Tyra Knox has been missing since Saturday. All her parents, her mother and her father, we've been speaking with all day long, have been very concerned about this. Hopefully tonight's development will put some closure, or they'll give them some light of what's going on here in the case of their 7-year-old daughter.
This is truly a state of emergency.
You can just hear the trees popping, and the next thing you know, it's just boom.
I heard it, and I just hit the floor and said, "Have mercy, Lord," and he did.
The wind was just absolutely amazing. The trees were all bent over.
The one thing that we can tell you with some sense of assurance is that our folks will work night and day until every customer is restored.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of News Channel 3 at 10. I'm Pam McKelvey.
I'm Jerry Tate. If your power is still out, we can sympathize with you on that. Ours is too, as you can see from our darkened studio.
An early morning storm surprises everyone with its severity, leaving 306,000 people without power.
And tonight, some 15 hours after the storm hit, MLGW still reports about 300,000 homes without power.
Also tonight, despite some conflicting reports, the death toll is believed to be 2 from this storm.
A 74-year-old man crushed in his bed by a falling tree.
And a 2-month-old baby killed in an apartment fire.
We have dozens of reporters out all across the Mid-South to bring you live Team 3 coverage of the storm damage. We begin our coverage with News Channel 3's Alex Coleman. He's live in Midtown. Alex?
Jerry, here in Midtown and other parts of the Mid-South, the electricity is still out.
2 people killed in today's violent storms. One victim's life, it was just starting.
Tonight, most Mid-South families are in the dark without AC and learning to cope.
Pam, I can tell you that the county of Shelby is also in a state of emergency as well, declared by Mayor A.C. Wharton this afternoon.
Okay, take a deep breath,
chill out and keep these things in mind while the lights are out.
Well, Jerry, the Public Building Authority says it won't be until tomorrow morning until we see personnel and equipment that will stabilize the leaning crane here at the FedEx Arena in downtown Memphis.
But what we're hearing from everyone is that the property can be replaced and lives can't. That's why tonight many people are actually counting their blessings.
Pam, there is a strong police presence both downtown tonight and in the county.
Are you in the dark? You need supplies? Well, so do a lot of other Mid-Southerners. And the stores, some of them at least, are sold out.
You may be able to see behind me the Exxon station, which is dark and closed. But now we want to take you to a live picture of News Chopper 3. This is the Citgo on Union Avenue in downtown Memphis. Just look at that line for people waiting for gas.
If you do have electricity, tonight's a great night to be in the restaurant business. Why? Well, with over 250,000 people without electricity, there are a lot of hungry mouths out there to feed.
Every one of these are wind damage. There are no hail reports here. I mean, usually in a report like this, you'll get maybe 3/4 inch diameter hail reported by so-and-so in Hickory Hill. There's none of that here. This is all wind damage, and most of this straight line winds, no doubt there were some microbursts and those type things. But as far as tornadic activity, no confirmed tornadoes at this point. So the damage that we're seeing today is actually more reminiscent of what a hurricane would produce. Right. It's so widespread. Usually just one severe thunderstorm can do a lot of damage, but especially a tornado. The damage is so compact. You can go to Jackson, Tennessee, ask any of the people up in Dyer County or Tipton County that have been hit by these storms in the last few years, and they'll tell you that, boy, it was so compact, and it maybe affected this neighborhood, but not the next street over. This is affecting almost everyone in Shelby County and points east of here and west and south as well. So this is actually, the damage looks more reminiscent of a hurricane.
It certainly does.
Let me update you as to what is still in effect here across the area. We have a tornado warning for Panola County, Mississippi that goes until 10:45 tonight. Oh, and we just have lost power in the studio for the moment. We're in the dark. There's First Defense Doppler 3 weather radar. But with our backup generator in place, we can continue giving you the information. So if you're in this area, now seek shelter. This is moving down toward Horseshoe Lake. For example, Kate, Newhart, 737, Topaz at 738, Simsboro at 739.
Wind gusts are now at about 70 miles an hour, strong enough, just about to blow me away. The rain is mixing with sand and it feels like rocks on your face, but at this point, the worst is yet to come.
But that didn't scare these weathered residents. To them, it was just another day at the beach. The only difference, ducking debris.
It's amazing. It just feels good. The wind blowing, the smell of the salt. Beautiful day.
It's amazing with so many people out that no one was seriously hurt here in Virginia Beach. At this point, much of the city, including us, well, we're without power. We do know that there has been a lot of destruction to this area, but exactly how much, that won't become clear until daylight. Reporting live from Virginia Beach, I'm Christine Conley, News Channel 3.
June 25th, 2003. It filled every newscast and screamed from the headlines. 2-year-old Amber Cody found dead inside her hot daycare van.
When I asked what was wrong, they said a child had been left in a van. And that took the life out of me.
A tragedy that tore Memphis apart again.
The pain that we went through, we don't want anyone else to go through.
Yet 6 other families in Memphis have already lived this unimaginable heartache, putting their child on a daycare van to have them never come home again. It first happened June 25th, 1997.
Well, Destiny was a real sweet baby. She was very quiet. She wasn't fussy, and perhaps that had something to do with why they didn't know that she was there.
4-month-old Destiny Williams left to die inside her daycare van. The temperature inside, 112 degrees. DHS implemented tougher licensing and transportation rules, yet 2 years later, tragedy struck again. Unbelievably, twice in one day, 2-year-old Brandon Mann and 22-month-old Darnesia Slater.
That's my niece, and I can't nobody bring her back. Nobody at all. Nobody can't.
Both died from heat stroke after being left in separate daycare vans.
I know she was suffering and in pain. I know she was crying and hot. I can just imagine.
But few in Memphis could imagine still more deadly mistakes to come. April 4th, 2002, a daycare van flips and crashes, killing Tika Bonner and Brayna Robinson, both age 6, as well as 9-year-old Gerald Bonner and 8-year-old Marquand McCrae. 4 children, one deadly accident with a drug-using driver at the wheel. They say history has a way of repeating itself. Tragically for the city of Memphis, it seems to be a sad cycle, one the parents of Amber Cody would give anything to break.
She could have been a doctor to save somebody else's father, or, but we'll never know. And all these other children, we'll never know what they'll grow up to be because of forgetfulness, of mistakes.
We are told the girl was left in the daycare van.
Mistakes people all over the Mid-South say they won't tolerate anymore. So tonight, they're taking up the fight and joining a new army, commanded by the memory of a little girl. And that is why a lot of committed folks are here tonight at First Baptist Church.
We delayed this gathering for a week because of the storm. I know a lot of you still have no electricity, but the power is back on here at First Baptist Church, and we really appreciate you being with us. Good evening. I'm Jerry Tate.
And I am Pam McKelvey. We are calling tonight's live broadcast Amber's Army, a town hall meeting. And we are honored tonight to be joined by Amber's parents, Matthew and Ilea Cody. They are her parents, as well as their other family members are here with them tonight. We will be talking to them during this broadcast tonight. The Church of the Santa Croce is famous not only for its beauty and architecture, but also because it is the final resting place of many famous Florentines. Florentines whose works are being featured in Memphis at the Wonders exhibit at the Pyramid. Some of the folks buried inside this church are names you'll recognize. Names like Galileo, Machiavelli, and Michelangelo. Artists who were commissioned by the Medici family. The family's personal art collection put Florence on the map. Now, centuries later, Florence remains a mecca to the art world. But you don't have to journey across the ocean to experience a part of her beauty. Your inner artist can be inspired in Memphis.
Downtown Orlando, Florida.
In Dallas.
In Foxborough, Mass. In New Orleans.
At the Alamo.
Here in Baltimore.
Louisville.
Here at the Georgia Dome. In Kansas City, Glenn Carver, News Channel 3 Sports.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Alex Coleman.
And I'm Mary Beth Conley. So happy you could join us on this Veterans Day. This is a very important day for News Channel 3 and the Commercial Appeal as we team up to honor some very important and special people, the veterans who have served our country. God shed His grace on me.
Rockets, red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
do plan to appeal?
Have you ever had any trouble before?
Did he tell you that it was illegal?
Why aren't these people losing their jobs?
When he realized 2 people were dead, why didn't he turn himself in immediately?
You can have 3 stars on your center and still have violations.
Can you tell us where Ricky's body is?
Memphis has a horrible history of kids being left behind in daycare vans.
Piece of paper is a woman's only legal defense against.
They either will or have been disciplined.
I'm Christine Conley.
Tom Powell.
Roswell Encina.
Mike Matthews.
Brian Kubler.
Stephanie Skerlock.
Andy Wise, News Channel 3.
News Channel 3.
News Channel 3.
News Channel 3 on your side.